It's great to be here.
Thank you so
Kathy.
much for being here.
Yeah.
Share your journey with us a little bit.
Okay.
It's always hard to be the last one.
Yeah. These stories were amazing, and we're all so diverse, which is so great. For me personally, 3 things had to happen for me to be free. I had to understand who I was. I had to learn to listen and trust my gut. And I had to live life from a place of acceptance and love. It was difficult to do with my beginning. I was raised in the textbook definition of a Northern Catholic, ethnic, dysfunctional family.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was easy.
There were 6 of us kids. I was the youngest. We lived in a 1,000 square foot house, 6 kids, 1 bathroom, about 7 accordions, and and Mommy's Little Helper, which was my mother's unlimited supply of Valium. And she needed all the help she could get because my father was never home. He owned his own business, a local bar named Ludd's Tavern just a mile down the street. He played the accordion and entertained with his polka band on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. And he drank a bit. And then he drank a bit more. And then he drank a bit more. But he's the life of the party, and everyone loves Ludd. And he would walk into any room and put on his accordion and change it from a boring party to a celebration in an instant. And as a little girl, I recognized, the power of music to change people's spirits. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I also wanted nothing more than the attention of my distant, cold, alcoholic father. So at the age of 11, I picked up the accordion. Now, if you would have been there, we can pretend we're back in Cleveland, Ohio. You would have been invited in. You would have been given a drink or 2, and you may have heard something like this. Roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel. We've got the blues on the run. You get the idea, right? I think that's the first time the beer barrel polka has ever been played at a women's Christian, right?
Yes.
But we drank so much beer that we had to write songs to justify it. So this one is extremely popular. In heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it here. And when we're gone from here, our friends will be drinking all the beer. All right, your turn. E-I-E-I-E-I-O. E-I-E-I-O. E-I-E-I-E-I-o. 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 E-I-O. E-I-O. E-I-E-I-o. Thank you. But Kathy, you know this. When the music stopped in my house and the last guest stumbled home, all that was left inside that tiny house were things like secrets and fear and secrets. You see, when there's an alcoholic in the house, even a happy one, the unspoken message is don't speak, don't feel, don't do anything that's going to disrupt this perfectly broken system. Because you don't matter. You don't matter. What you need as a kid doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we all play our parts and we all take care of the alcoholic.
Amen.
And we all got really good at it, especially my mom. She was like the ultimate codependent. I mean, her job was to keep the dysfunction functioning. So she did that by making all the choices, all the plans, all the decisions, and basically took away our ability to develop a sense of self because we had no choice. So when she was 56 and I was just 17, the doctor said cancer. And in 2 months and 8 days, she was gone, taking any sense of self I may have even had with her. So I spent the next 20 years trying to fill the hole that I felt and cover up the sense of shame and the feeling that I was internally flawed. And I tried everything. I tried alcohol. I tried religion. I became a born-again Christian in my 20s and was told that Jesus was now going to take away all my pain. I got married. I married my college sweetheart, hoping he would fix me. I played the accordion. I traveled all over the world. I did get 5 Grammy nominations, which actually only makes me the Susan Lucci of polka, literally. There are 0 wins at this moment.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, right. And the other thing I did in that time was I threw myself into therapy. I read every self-help book I could get my hands on. Codependent no more, codependent now what? The codependent's codependent. I learned everything I could about the disease of alcoholism and its effect on me. But how many people out here know that you can know a lot and you can learn a lot, but it doesn't mean you heal it? And I got only as close as I needed to everything. To God, to listening to my own voice, to my husband. You know, broken relationships can work, especially if no one's trying to fix them. And before I knew it, Jim, my husband and I, we were turning 40, and his paternal clock was ticking. I had no ticking clock, but I felt like I owed it to him after putting up with the crazy life. He didn't even know what polka was before he met me. And so we started to have a family, and I had 2 miscarriages. And secretly, honestly, I was relieved. So when I got pregnant for the 3rd time, I just assumed it wasn't going to stick. I hoped it wouldn't stick. And it was a few days before Christmas, and the doctor called and he said, "You're 18 weeks along. It's a baby boy you're carrying, and he has Down syndrome." My world quit spinning. I couldn't catch my breath. And when I did breathe, the very first words out of my mouth to Jim were, "You tell me what the Bible says about abortion." He said, "Thou shalt not kill." I said, "You know what? Right now, that's not good enough. God, it's not good enough." There was not one part of me that thought I had what it would take to be the parent of a special needs child, nor did I want to. But I knew that was not going to be an option for Jim. So I contemplated suicide all the time. And 9 months went by, and when that nurse laid that little boy in my arms, I felt nothing. And I continued to feel nothing for about the next 2.5 years. You see, depression moved in, and as we've seen recently, especially with the entertainment community and Robin Williams, you can look okay on the outside, but on the inside, I was dying. And people tried, everybody tried. People would say, "Leon," well, I live in the South, so my name has 2 syllables, "Leon, God would never give you more than you can handle." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Well, he has totally overestimated my capabilities on this one. God only gives special kids to special parents. One lady came up to me and said, "Oh, but there's a really cute boy with Downs who bags my groceries." And I wanted to punch her. I had bigger dreams for my son than bagging your groceries. I got a letter from a Christian friend who said that all of this was happening and I was depressed and my child was sick because I was sinning and I was backsliding. All I wanted was somebody to say to me, "I couldn't possibly begin to understand what you're going through." That's all I wanted. Eventually, I found my way into therapy, and this woman named Diane let me lay on her couch and kick and scream for months, but she also asked the really hard questions. She said, "Lynn, what are you so afraid of?" I said, "Okay, here's the deal. He's a really cute little boy right now, but he's going to be 10 and 20 and 30 and 40, and the world's a cruel place, and people are going to be mean to him, and what kind of life is he going to have, and who's going to take care of him when I'm gone?" She said, "You talk a whole lot about then. What about now? You told me James goes to bed happy, he wakes up happy. Have you ever thought about looking at life through his eyes and not at him through yours?" She said, "Lynn, sometimes in life you get a steel wall and it comes down and it slams down hard and it becomes part of your being from that point on. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't go around it. You can't go through it. You can't change it. Lynn, you can't fix it." Apparently, she didn't know she was talking to the world's greatest codependent, and I fix everything.
The perfectionist.
The perfectionist, absolutely. And at this point, I was lying on her floor crying, and she said, "What would happen if you stopped?" I said, "Stopped what?" She said, "Stopped everything. Stopped running, stopped hiding, stopped lying, stopped performing." I said, "Oh my God, I could never stop performing." She said, "Why? What would happen?" I said, "Everything would fall apart." She said, "Lynn, you're covered in snot lying on my floor. I think everything already is apart." And she was right. So I went home that day, and I made the very hard decision to get off the road and quit performing. And I was standing in my closet packing up performance clothes, and I have a window in my closet that overlooks the driveway. And I tried to imagine myself a couple years down the road, kindergarten time, with James standing at the end of the driveway waiting for the school bus. And when I looked up, what I saw coming down the street was not the regular school bus, but it was the short bus. And I yelled at God, as prayer-like as possible, God, I just can't wrap my head around the fact that I have a special needs child. And for the first time, I listened. And from the deepest part of my gut, I heard, Lynn, I'm not asking you to wrap your head around it. I'm asking you to wrap your heart around it. I collapsed into a pile of dirty clothes and surrender. I blew my nose in a sock. I got it, okay? I can't fix him. I get it, I can't fix it. But I have no idea how to love him. But something happened to me in the closet that day. It was like my broken heart cracked open enough to let the light in. Maybe it was enough therapy, maybe they got my antidepressant right, I don't know. But I began to look at life differently that day. And God sent angels. And then he broke my dryer. He did, it blew up. And I was about to be really upset. And then I thought, oh my gosh, if my dryer's broken, I get to get a new dryer. I'm gonna get the Kelly Ripa Electrolux Deluxe dryer, right? And life is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna have the perfect biceps, throw the cookies to the perfect looking kids. This is fabulous. So I put James in the car, we go to Sears. They're having a promotional sale, so they have a band in the parking lot with balloons and popcorn. I thought, oh, I've played a lot of cruddy polka gigs over the years. I never had to play a Sears parking lot. We're gonna come support them when we're done. So inside I find the sales lady. She shows me the Electrolux Deluxe, and then she shows me the price. I'm like, oh God, I can't do this right now. I said, I guess I'm gonna need the I don't do anything but dry clothes dryer. She goes, those are over here. So we go, and we're standing in front of this stark white Maytag with 2 buttons. And this elderly lady approaches me, and she goes, is this your little boy? And I said, yeah. She goes, I just buried my little boy. He was 61 years old. And he had Down syndrome. She had tears in her eyes, and she said, can I tell you something? I know how hard this is, but I promise you, if you cannot live in the future and let go of your fear and live in this moment right now, you're gonna feel more love than you ever imagined. I started crying, she was crying. I look over, the sales lady's crying. I'm like, okay, this is now the softer side of Sears, right? So out in the parking lot, James and I decide to stop and listen to the band. They finish, I heard it through the grapevine, and the keyboard player comes running across the parking lot at me, and she goes, is this your little boy? I go, yeah. She goes, I have a brother with Down syndrome. He is the love of my life. And she sees my tears, and she says, oh, it's gonna be okay. I watch my mom. I know it's hard, but don't live in the future. Let go of your fear. Live in this moment right now. You're gonna feel more love than you ever imagined. Really, God? Just then there's a tap on my shoulder. This better be Kelly Ripa with a new dryer. It was a third woman. She takes me to her car. She opens up her back door, and there lying on pillows is what appears to be a 12-year-old, and he's fragile. And she said, this is my son Chris, and he has a chromosome disorder. He can hardly hear and he can't speak. And she takes my hand and she puts it on Chris's cheek, and she says, Chris, this is a very special mommy who has a beautiful little boy. She takes my hand in hers and she says, they told me to put him away, but I didn't. I've taken care of him his whole life. He's 52 years old. And if I could tell young mothers one thing, it would be this: don't live in the future. Let go of your fear. Live in this moment right now, and you're gonna feel more love than you ever imagined. I put James in his car seat, and I went to back out of the spot that day, and I looked at him. For the first time in his 4.5 years on this planet, I said, I love you. And I used the rearview mirror to wipe my tears. And it was as if for the first time I recognized who I saw. And I loved me too. You see, there were actually 2 people in that car that day with special needs. James was never broken. I was. I wish I could tell you now that I have it all figured out and life is easy, but it's not. It's difficult. I've been potty training all week, so if you hug me and I smell like urine, that's why. I'm so sorry. But here's what I know. We all get something in life, right? But for me, it came down to daily acceptance of what I'd been given. That is the only way to be free. Thank you all.
Thank you.